Hi guys, Andy here again from Mad Lad Designs, continuing the mini tutorial for Component Studio. In our last video we created a project. Let's click projects, my demo game, and we created this project. Let's go into it, and as you can see it's empty because we have nothing in it. We haven't created anything yet. But just for a comparison, I'm going to show you the project for Doom Gloom Dungeon. And as you can see, it's got various things in there. So we have our component data sets, which I am going to go over in this video. We have our fonts that we use throughout the card when we're designing it. I'll go over those in another video. Over here, we have our designs, so our design templates for the cards. And of course, I'm going to go over that in another video. And finally, the folders in which our images are going to go in. And again, I'm going to go over images in another video. So back to projects. Make sure our demo game is ticked for the active project. And we're going to create our data sets. So I'm going to click data sets. Data sets, if you can imagine, each data set is like a deck of cards. And we're going to create our individual cards inside that data set. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to create two data sets or two decks of cards. I'm going to create a monster deck and I'm going to create a player deck. So if you can imagine, this is some sort of fantasy game that we're creating. I'm going to create the monster deck in this video and I'm going to create the player deck in another video because the player deck is a bit different. So I'm going to put the name of our data set or our deck that we're going to be using, and I'm going to call it monster deck. And then we will click the plus sign. And this is what we get. We have quantity and name, and I'm going to get back to those at a later time in this video. But what we need to now think of is what things are going to go on our monster card. We need to know what different sections are going to be on our monster card. So obviously you would design this out and make sure you've got your card in front of you and you know exactly what's going to go on that card that you're creating or on those deck of cards. So our monster card, let's have a look. We shall have right at the top the monster name. So it could be goblin, orc, beholder, skeleton, whatever. Underneath that, just right underneath that, we might have the monster type. So it could be undead, animated, humanoid, those type of things. And underneath that, we might have a large image of whatever monster it is. Then halfway down the card, we might have a strip. And on this strip might be an attack strength, a defense strength, and the health of the monster. Then underneath that, an area for any special, so any special text, anything that special that the monster does. And then right at the bottom, maybe some flavor text. Flavor text doesn't do anything to the game. It's just there for a bit of fun on the card. Maybe a quote from the monster or a quote about the monster. So that's it, I think. Monster name at the top, monster type, image, health, attack and defense, an area for any special text, and then a quote, flavor text at the bottom. So let's create those sections. And we do that by going down here in the bottom right where it says add new column. Each section is going to be a column. So we're going to start with the monster name. So I'm going to type monster underdash. Oops, I'm going to click on it first. Monster underdash name. You can't have any spaces when you're doing columns. So I'm going to add the column. So there, our monster name is ready to put things in. We're going to add another column, and that's going to be monster type. Then we had the image, and then add that column. Then we had attack. We'll add that. That was the attack strength. Then we had defense strength, defense. There we go, and add that column. Then we had the health. We'll add that column. Then we had special. We had an area for the special text. Add that column. And then at the end, we had flavor text. And we had that column. So each column represents a section on the card. So I think we've got everything that's going to be on the card. Yes, we have. These arrows allow you to move columns left and right. So for example, I could move the monster name by clicking these arrows. The black arrows will automatically jump to the extreme right or to the extreme left. So monster name, if I wanted it right at the end, I click the black circle, and it would jump right to the end. If I wanted it right at the beginning, I click the circle again, it jumps right to the beginning. Apart from these two, and I will get back to these shortly. It makes no difference whatsoever in what order you have these columns. So I could have the monster name right in the middle somewhere. Even though I'm picturing the monster name at the top of the card, when you're doing your data set, it doesn't matter whereabouts these columns are in this data set. Okay, so we've created the sections. Now have to create our individual cards. And we do that by adding a row. So we click add row. And this is a card. We're going to be adding all the information for this particular card. So click monster name, and I'm going to call it Goblin. Let's have a capital G. Then monster type, we will have humanoid. Then we have the image. I'm going to leave all the images because I'm going to go over images in another video. So I'm going to skip image. The attack strength, let's have it 4 because goblins are a bit weedy. And defense of 4. And let's have the health of 4. Special, let's put +1 for every goblin in the row. So let's have a look. +1 for every goblin, +1 attack for every goblin in the row. Okay, you can stretch these boxes out so you can see. Now you will not have this tick. This tick is from an extension I've added to Firefox, which just does a spell checking on everything. So you will not have this tick. So make sure you check your spelling. +1 attack for every goblin in the row with a full stop. Yeah, that's fine. And any flavor text, we put in quotes. Garum, boys. Yeah, there you go. Yes, this is just saying to there are spelling errors. It's show me that there's 2 spelling errors, but again, you will not have this unless you install this language tool in Firefox. So don't be put off that you don't have any of these when you're doing your data sets. So we've created our first monster card. And what we're going to do is we are going to have multiples of that card. Really simple. We just change the quantity. So I'm going to have 9. So now when I save out my project in a print and play format, I'm going to have 9 of these goblin cards. And it tells me down here that I have 9 cards. And 9 cards will fit exactly onto a sheet of A4 paper. So quantity is just how many of that card, so there's no cutting and pasting, nothing like that. The name, this name has to be unique for every line, for every row. So I'm just going to put mon _001. You could have had goblin in there and then not have monster name, but if you wanted multiple goblins with different attacks and defenses, then you would have to call it Goblin 01 or Goblin #1. I don't really like that. I don't want to put Goblin number 1 and Goblin number 2. So I create my own monster name. And I know I can have another card that says Goblin and just maybe change the attack and defense slightly, which is why I don't put the name of the thing in here. And this will not be displayed on your card unless you want it to. So let's create another monster by clicking Add Row. And let's call this an Orc. And again, it's going to be humanoid. Again, we're going to skip the image. The attack, it's a bit stronger. We'll give it 6, defense of 7, and the health of 6. There's no special. What can we have for flavor text? I'm going to leave the flavor text. You can put your own flavor text in when you create your own cards, but I'm going to leave that for now. However, I am going to change the unique name to Mon002. And let's have... that should be... Why does that change that? 002. And there we go. Let's have 4 of those. Let's create another card by clicking Add Row. And we'll do Beholder. And it is Aberration. Skip the image. The attack is going to be, and it's telling me I've spelled that wrong. There we go. The attack will make it 10. Defense will make it 10. And health, make it 15. And the special is Beholder gets 2 attacks. Again, I'm going to leave the flavor text. But of course, I'm going to put Mon003. And we'll have 2 of those. Let's add another monster. And I'm going to do a skeleton. And it's animated. Skip the image. The attack is 7. The defense is 4. No, let's make it 5. And the health is 6. And the special is blunt weapons do an extra 2 damage. And then extra. And then we put one more final monster in. And we'll call that, we'll call it Mon004. And then we call this Mon005. And then we'll have a wraith. And it is undead. Undead. Again, skip image. We'll have the attack as 5. We'll have the defense as, we'll have that as a star. And the health we'll have as 8. And in the special we'll have star. Can only be attacked with silver weapons. And we'll leave the flavor text. And we'll change the number. We'll change, how many skeletons do we need? We'll have 5 skeletons and we'll have 3 wraiths. So in all, we have 24 cards that are going to be printing out. And that is how you create a data set. That's it. That's as simple as that. The columns are the different sections you're going to put on the card. And then each row represents a card. And of course you can change the quantity to how many of those you want. You can remove a column if you don't like a column by coming down here, clicking and then choosing which one you want to select and then clicking remove column, and it will automatically remove it. So for example, I'm going to remove flavor text, remove column, takes the flavor text off. Once you've taken it off, however, you cannot get it back unless you add another column. So be aware that if you've got loads of information in the column and you get rid of the column, you're going to have to put all that information back in. There's no undo in Component Studio. And there we are. We've just created our deck of cards. This tells us how many cards are going to be in the deck when we print it out. I think that's it. Down here, numerate on. I've no idea what that does. I've never used it, so I'm not familiar with that. Row height. If we click this, we can open up how wide each row is, so you can easily type in. Put that back down to 1, and that is it. Again, we can, if we click delete here, we can delete an entire row. So just to recap, each column is what's going to go on the card, the particular section of that card, and each row represents a card with the information that's on that card. The quantity is the number of that card that you want to print out. The name, this is inbuilt into Component Studio, it needs to be unique. So for example, if I wanted this to be Goblin, I could do that. But if I put the name Goblin here, I could not put the name Goblin there. Has to be unique. But this is not going to be displayed on the card. You'll see that when we get to the designing of the card. That's as simple as that. So I'm going to go back to data sets. And as you can see, we've created our monster deck. We can do various things with it. We can delete the entire thing. Oh, sorry, that's not the one. This one, we can delete the entire deck of cards if we wanted to. We can make a duplicate of it in case we wanted to just change one or two different things. And we can export to CSV. I've not used this. I'm assuming it's a spreadsheet of some kind you can save out to. I'm not sure. So there you go. Very simply, we've created our monster deck. We are going to create the player deck in the next video. That's a bit different. And then in further videos, I'm going to show you how to design your cards and then how to put images into your cards. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them the best I can. But until the next video, I will catch you guys later.